We from Brooklyn, we're scrapping, it's part of life. Right. So we happen to be the type of journalists to start a fight. I was raised in Gleason's, I was in the precinct, but I beat the case with my sweet peak defense. You drinking if you think you beating us. If I have to, I'ma put on Margarito's gloves. Don't do it. I'm in the Barclays like I own it. What you expected? The way I seized the moment, they thought I was epileptic. The fight game can't survive without me. I throw shots that make fighters spit out their mouthpiece. Never days off, only days on. I represent the hood like I'm Trayvon. These moments in boxing are so proper, like when Floyd told Oscar he beat his whole roster. It's our action that speaks the loudest. Though we the sweet scientists, there ain't nothing sweet about us.
Listen, let's get right into it. You dropped the bomb a couple of weeks ago. A fight schedule.
They're going to determine the next pay-per-view star. Because you put them in look, whoever wins Thurman Garcia, you know, they're probably the top fighter in the world at 147 pounds. I'm Steven Espinoza from Showtime Sports, and this is 50.com.
Give us your top 5 fighters of all time.
Okay, this will be a little bit controversial because I'm gonna probably leave out some guys intentionally so, but that make every other list. No particular order, okay? I have to say Julio Cesar Chavez.
Okay. Get away with that one.
You know, I've got to say Ricardo Lopez.
Benito Lopez. Okay, next one. Listen, I'm with him on that. That dude is a monster.
All time?
All time.
Okay.
Can't be beat.
We're gonna let that. That's another one we let.
Okay. I've got to put Floyd, top 5.
I know you're happy about that.
If you say
Floyd's number 1 fan. For those who don't know, my co-host is Floyd's number 1 fan.
Right. You can't really be credible without saying, you don't have to put a number 1, but you have to put Ali in there.
Ali, baby.
In there, and then the other ones, I'll tell you, there are 3 guys. there are 3 guys who are tied together. Hearns, Hagler, Leonard. Take your pick. One of the 3. I would probably say Sugar. I would say Sugar Ray.
Leonard.
Yeah. So I'm leaving out Ray Robinson.
But one of your favorites is Mike Tyson.
You know what? The 2. If you want to say like my 3 favorites now, I would say Mike Tyson. I'd say Diego Corrales. And Marco Antonio Barrera. Those are probably my 3 favorite fighters to watch of all time.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you have it. Steven Espinoza's top 5. Making one of the biggest fight in history at this point. A lot of fans out there still feel that Floyd is going to get back in the ring. And I have constant debates about this. I think Pacquiao's still sticking around for that fight. He wants another big payday. Does that fight even make sense from a business standpoint? Would it sell? If you had an opportunity to get involved, would you make that fight again? Floyd Mayweather, Pacquiao, 2.
I think in order to be able to sell that fight, Pacquiao needs to look really, really good. And that will create some doubt. And whether you believe the shoulder injury or you don't believe it or you think it was a factor or not.
The Filipinos are going to believe it.
Right. So there was, so depending how he looks, if he looks, like a different guy than was in the ring with Floyd that night, maybe so. If there isn't anything that shows that it might be different second time around, then I don't think, that side's valuable.
What's your guess, though? You think he looks exceptionally well and that fight can happen in 2017?
I think Manny looks good. I think he's motivated, and I think the style matchup's a good one for him. So I think it'll be a decent fight. But I'm just not convinced Floyd's coming back.
Really?
I don't feel he's been really quiet, and he looks satisfied.
He's acting now.
Yeah, but isn't that like an unwritten rule? These fighters, they always eventually come back. Outside of Floyd being the most successful financially, what separates him from everybody else?
I think Floyd. I think got to a point where, and he said it, and I think it was authentic. What else do I have to prove? What else I've done? I've fought the big names. I fought the guys everyone wanted me to. Finally, I made a lot of money. I couldn't find anyone to beat me. I've been in this game for 19 years. It's enough.
When Danny Garcia picked his opponent for this month, everybody called him a cherry picker. Now, if he would have picked Andre Berto, then they would have said, "Oh, that's a great matchup." But when you reach the level that Floyd has reached, and Andre Berto is cherry picking, there's nobody really else out there for you to fight. So you need to just bow out gracefully at the top.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I think that's a good move.
I mean, you know, he's reached the point, and I think it's a little unfair that, you know, we have to start coming up with ridiculous stuff
Right.
in order
Right.
for him to
Triple
prove.
G.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, I think he
Yeah.
really took that promoter hat and really is wearing it. Like, you know, I don't know if he officially signed Shakur Stevenson, but he's obviously going to the Olympics to watch this guy. He's looking for young talent. I think what promoters should be doing. So it seems he's taking it serious.
Well, he's got this young kid out of D.C. actually. I think Maryland. To be
Javante
Davis.
Yeah.
You know, and he's the real thing. Like he is.
You think so?
I really like him. I think he'll get a world title shot in 2017, and I do think he's the real deal. He will be one of the most exciting fighters in the younger weight class.
He is a fan-friendly fighter. I mean,
Yeah.
he goes in there with bad intentions.
You bet.
every
It is
time.
malice.
And Floyd,
Yeah.
Floyd definitely took him under the wing. So
Yeah.
let me ask you a question. You obviously have an eye for talent. I mean, you as far as fighters, what fighter out there you wish you had under the Showtime banner who's somewhere else? And maybe he's not touchable. Maybe he's signed to this person. Maybe he's fighting under HBO. Honest, give me your honest opinion on what guy you wish he was on your side.
Well, I would say the guy that if you had asked me 6 months ago, I would have said Mikey Garcia. I would have said, look, you know, in terms of his potential,
Right.
you know, because he, you know, he's skilled, he can box, he can punch, he's completely bilingual. Like his ceiling in terms of the skill set in the ring and his ability, you know, to become a star, like.
But he's kind of, you know, mingling with you now. So
Of who I was left, you know, it's a good question.
Terrence Crawford, perhaps.
You know,
we'll let him answer.
you know, Crawford. You know, Crawford's interesting. You know, I want to see Terrence in sort of an even 50-50 fight.
For some reason, though, I just think he has that Floyd Mayweather, Andre Ward pedigree. I just think he's going to find a way to beat anybody. I mean, that's how I see him.
I think I would probably say, ironically, I'd probably say Andre Ward, because I think you know, to a certain extent he's got.
I got an answer for you.
Yeah, you did. You're right. Yeah, I did.
struggled.
Yeah. I mean, I you know, I say ironically because, you know, we developed him through the Super Six tournament, so we had the relationship, you know. But I think he's got a little bit of the short end of the stick, you know, business-wise and network-wise. You know, I think, you know.
It was a shot.
No, it wasn't a shot.
Short end of the stick.
Yeah,
With that other network.
I think,
letters.
you know, I
Three
think,
letters.
yeah, you know, I think there's some interesting fights, you know, for him. I think he's an underutilized athlete. You know, he speaks well. He's got the gold medal. He's got a lot to work with.
And that 2-year layoff, like he mentioned about Mikey Garcia, maybe that helped him. You know what I mean? He didn't get banged up for, what is it? It was about 2 years as well.
It was almost 2 years.
I mean, you know, now he's opened up a little bit, and so if you look at, you know, you listen to some of the stuff he's been talking about lately, he's opened up about his background, which is.
I never knew.
Maybe he was forced from a PR standpoint. And I didn't ask you this last time we sat down and spoke, but I want your opinion on this. Why is it that a lot of these young African American talented fighters don't get that major press unless they do things outside the box? Hence Adrian Broner, Floyd when he fought Oscar, a bit obnoxious at times, crazy stuff out there in the media. But the guys like Ward, Clean Cut, Jacobs, they don't get that press unless they're jerks, kind of.
You know, it's, you could ask that in just about any sport. You know, you can look at baseball and say, you know, why is Andrew McCutchen not the superstar when Bryce Harper is? You know, it's, and I'm not trying to go racial with it, you know, either way, but Bryce Harper, really talented guy, don't get me wrong, but he's known because of the attitude, you know. So I think it's just the nature, unfortunately, of society where we are today.
Yeah, but again, I always say this. Triple G, Canelo Alvarez, they don't talk smack, they're clean cut. Big names in the sport.
they're big names, but I think
They don't have too much melanin in this.
you said it, not me. But I also think, you know, but they haven't caught fire. you know, look, both of them have some mainstream, but they're not a Floyd. They're not, you know, and that's a high, you know, it's a high standard.
I think Canelo, you know, putting 52,000 seats says something.
Yes.
I know he has a big Mexican fan
I think if he
base.
spoke English, he'd put 104.
Yeah, I mean, he's got. You talk about all the tools. He's good looking, and he's got his head on straight. If you know, it's one thing that you know we try to stress with him a lot is learning English, because that will open so many.
I was buying to win. I was buying to win. You can't be talking like that and looking fly like that.
Yeah, you know what?
Rock star.
He'll probably, you know, he'll get there.
Trinidad didn't speak any English and was a huge star in the sport. You got to put people
But-
on the ass to be big.
You're right. That's the
speak
difference
it.
between
Yeah, right.
Julio Cesar Chavez and Oscar
Cotto.
De La Hoya. Yeah,
Cotto
yeah,
catapult just
Yeah.
because he started speaking English.
that's right.
Well, listen, it's a big fight schedule coming up. I'm excited. You made a big statement in the sport. There's no secret, and hopefully you stay in this sport for a very long time, so we can stay active as boxing journalists. And
right.
I'm excited for the whole show. We want to thank you, Stephen Espinoza.
Absolutely.
As always.
Yeah.
It's been
Happy
great.
to be here.
Sweet Scientist with Akbar Barack on This Is 50.com. Stephen Espinoza, folks.